What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Ace here, back with another fantasy basketball video. Let's recap yesterday's video, November 2nd. Let's talk about the streamers that I posted for yesterday. So, Santi Aldama, Scottie Pippen Jr., these are two guys that I've been raving about for several days now. So, if they've been on your waiver, you haven't picked them up, you've been watching the videos, man, you're asleep. What are we doing? Come on, man. Santi dropped 35. Scottie Pippen Jr. dropped 42. Bane is still going to be out for a few weeks. Smart's going to be still going to be out for a few weeks. Keep these guys on your roster. I've said to keep them until those guys come back. And even when Bane and Smart come back, these guys still might give you a solid 30, 25 to 30 points per game in points leagues. We're talking about points leagues here. So these guys are must roster right now at the moment. You got to have these guys on your roster. In deep leagues, I talked about Jake LaRavia. He only had 11. I talked about Jalen Wells, who I think I did specifically mention I like him more than LaRavia. He had 25. And this kid, he's a rookie. I'm a Grizzlies fan, so I've watched the Grizzlies game, man. This kid is good. So if you're in a deep league, he was only rostered like 0.6% of leagues. So if you're in a really, really deep league and this dude's on your roster, now it's 0.8. But if this dude's on your roster until Bane and until Smart come back, he's going to be playing 30 plus minutes a night. He's starting at shooting guard for the Grizzlies. 36 minutes in back-to-back games, 15 and 16 points as a rookie. He's only going to get better. Like, this kid is really good. I would even, like, he's reaching the point where you might have to pick him up in, like, 12-man leagues. We'll see, though. Because he's getting very, very good minutes, but he's been great for the Grizzlies, and he's been good in fantasy as well. So if you picked him up in your deep league, um, gave you a solid performance. In deep leagues, I also talked about Caleb Martin. He only had 14, and then Lowry had 25. So not bad there for deep leagues. Deep leagues, when I'm talking about deep leagues, I'm talking about like 14 teams. Where your waivers for in my league, for example. Let me see how many people are or like players are roster. We had 12 people each. We had what's 12 times 17? I'm too tired and I don't want to. So there are 204 players rostered in my league. So if you have like something around 200 plus players rostered in your league, that's like considered a deep league to me. That's pretty deep. So like I wouldn't mind picking up Jalen Wells in my league. But you guys aren't in my league. Not literally, but in my fucking fantasy league. But anyway, next game's gonna be the next game was the Kings versus the Raptors. I talked about must roster. Grady Dick is a must roster right now. He had 31, which isn't much compared to his last performance. His last performance was like 50 something, but still keep this guy on your roster. I don't care. 31 still a good performance for a waiver guy. So if you're complaining about that, we got to talk about other things. But keep this guy on your roster. He needs to be rostered in leagues right now. Grady Dick, he's going to be amazing until Scotty Barnes comes back. And even when Barnes comes back, he's still going to get like 30-ish minutes. So keep him in your league. We talked about Kevin Huerter was a decent streamer. He was out, so he didn't play. In deep leagues, I talked about Ochai Agbaji, who dropped 51. So if you were in a deep league, 200 plus players rostered in your league, and you picked up Agbaji just to stream him, you cashed. You hit the gold mine. He dropped 51 yesterday. Jonathan Mogbo dropped 15, which isn't that bad, and then Davion Mitchell dropped 30. So very, very solid solid streamers for like what they were rostered. I think Agbaji was only wow, he's in 13.6%. When I talked about him, he was in like less than 5% of league. So now he's getting rostered a ton. Yeah, he had a very, very good night. So we we kind of went crazy in this Raptors game for the deep leagues. Warriors Houston. I talked about Podziemski. I talked about how he's a must roster right now until Curry comes back. He only had 24, so pretty disappointing, but not bad. I'd rather have Grady Dick over than him, rather than him right now. Sorry, I can't speak. I'd rather have Grady Dick than Podziemski right now. I'd rather have Anthony Black than Podziemski right now. I'd rather have Bilal Koulibaly than Podziemski right now. Those are some guys that I've been highly touting for waiver guys, and then I'd rather obviously have Santi Aldama and Scottie Pippen Jr. than Podziemski right now. But still, Podziemski, if all of those guys that I just mentioned are not on your waivers and Podziemski's on your waivers, I don't mind him until Curry comes back. In deep leagues, I talked about Kevon Looney. He dropped 22. Trace Jackson Davis dropped 18. And Tari Eason dropped 64. This is a guy that I've talked about to stream him in deep leagues for a few days now. I think this is like the second or third video that I talked about him. He dropped 64. So he might be, I don't know, like he was only in like 1 or 2% of leagues. Now he's in 6% of leagues, and I don't blame him. He had 35 minutes. If he sees, I don't think he'll see 30 minutes again. But if he starts getting his minutes increased, that's something we're gonna have to keep our eyes on. He balled out in that Cleveland and Milwaukee game. I only had deep leagues picks for these. I had Ty Jerome. He had 11. Torian Prince had 35, and then Gary Trent Jr.'s bum ass had -3 in 34 minutes. So picked up Gary Trent Jr. I apologize. Trash. He's trash. Timberwolves Spurs game. I talked about Champagne. He's still a decent streamer. He had 21. Miami Washington game. Must roster Bilal Coulibaly. I talked about him being a must roster. He had 38 again. And as long as Kuzma's out, this guy needs to be on your roster. And even when Kuzma comes back, keep this guy on your roster for the foreseeable future. He'll still probably get like 30-ish minutes. I think I'd rather have Grady Dick right now. That's a really tough one. Just throwing out comparisons for you guys. That's a really tough one, but I think I'd rather have Grady Dick right now. Bilal Coulibaly or Anthony Black. I think I'd rather have Bilal right now. Just random comparisons for you guys, for you guys to kind of see where my headspace is with these guys. In deep leagues, I talked about Bub Carrington. He had dropped 35. Very good production for deep leagues. Nikola Jovic dropped 17. Royce O'Neal, we talked about him the last video, and he's on a back-to-back. So if you streamed him the last video, might as well have just streamed him today again. He had 19. We talked about Kamara in deep leagues last video. He was also on a back-to-back. I think he dropped like 40 the other day, and he dropped 25 again. If you're in a very deep league and you picked up Kamara and you played him in this back-to-back, he gave you really good production. And then in the OKC and Los Angeles Clippers game, we only had Derrick Jones Jr. He dropped -6, so horrible streamer. There were obviously better options, so you probably didn't pick up this guy, but damn, -6 is crazy. Anyway, let's talk about streamers for today. There are only 3 games, so there really are not going to be many stream options for us today. But I'll still talk about this slate. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get right into it. In the first game is going to be, what was this game? Pistons and Nets. The first game was Pistons and Nets. Let's go ahead and check the players. First streamer is going to be Dorian Finney-Smith. So if you need a guy that's playing today, Dorian Finney-Smith is not bad at all. He's rostered in 8.8% of leagues. He's averaging 24 fantasy points per game. As you can see, these numbers right here are different because my league scoring settings is different. When I talk about my league is very, very different. When I'm talking about averages, I'm talking about just regular points leagues format. So in regular points leagues formats, he's averaging 24 fantasy points per game. He's also averaging 29 minutes per game, as you can see. So that's not bad at all. Almost 10 points per game with 5 boards a game. Not bad. Nets versus Pistons. This is 2 bad teams. So with Nets, some things you got to worry about with the Nets is that they could get blown out because they're a very bad team. Although they have been pretty decent, but they're a pretty bad team. So you have to worry about blowouts with this team. But now in this matchup, it's only a 3.5 point spread, as you can see, and these are 2 very bad teams. So I think it does go wire to wire, which would mean that Dorian Finney-Smith sees his regular minutes, which is about that 29-ish spot. So I'm not scared of a blowout in this matchup. Also, Ben Simmons is questionable. So if Ben Simmons is out of this game, Dorian Finney-Smith would see a little small boost in production here. So something to keep your eye on as well. He's not a bad streamer at all for today. If you're in deep leagues, so 200 plus players, Zaire Williams isn't a bad streamer. He's rostered in 5.5% of leagues. He's averaging 21 fantasy points per game this season. He's getting a steady 20 minutes a game with 11 points per game. So not bad. He doesn't provide you much else. He doesn't really get you rebounds, assists, or steals. But this is not a bad streamer at all for a deep league if you need somebody that plays today. Next game, Atlanta Hawks Pelicans. A streamer, probably my favorite streamer in this game is going to be, well, we've talked about Jordan Hawkins, right? We've talked about Jordan Hawkins, so if you've watched the recent videos, you picked up Jordan Hawkins, I would still continue to stream him today. He is questionable once again. He's been questionable for the last like 3 games, and he's played in all 3 games. So I think they're just being cautious. So I do think he does play in this game. But if he doesn't, that's something to keep your eye on just in case. But I do think he plays. So if he's on your waiver for whatever reason, he's not a bad streamer at all. Another solid streamer is going to be Jose Alvarado. Rostered in 9.9% of leagues, okay? He's averaging 41 fantasy points per game in his last 2 games specifically. He's averaging 33.5 minutes in those per game in those last 2 games as well. The reason being that he's seeing this big boost in the last 2 games is because all the injuries the Pelicans are facing. DeJounte Murray's injured. CJ McCollum's out. Trey Murphy's been out. Herbert Jones is out. All these guys are out. So what this means is specifically the CJ McCollum injury. What that CJ McCollum injury has done for Alvarado is he's been slotted right into the starting point guard position. He's playing starting point guard for the Pelicans with McCollum and DeJounte out. So that's been 30 plus minutes in back-to-back games. So if this guy's in your league, this is not a bad streamer at all. He's going to be a solid streamer until McCollum comes back. So if like Podziemski, Grady Dick, Anthony Black, Bilal Coulibaly, Scottie Pippen Jr., Santi Aldama, if none of those guys are on your waivers, and you're looking for a guy that's a solid waiver, for short term, Jose Alvarado, I'd pick him up, I'd stream him today, and I'd probably keep him until CJ McCollum comes back, because he's going to be getting 30 minutes until CJ McCollum comes back. So that's not bad at all. Jordan Hawkins, like I said, is a game time decision. I do think Jordan Hawkins plays, but for whatever reason, if Jordan Hawkins is out for whatever reason, Alvarado would see an even bigger boost. This is a great streamer for today, Jose Alvarado. In deep leagues, we've talked about David Roddy for the past 2 games now before his breakout game against the Wizards. So not a bad streamer at all. And if you're in a deep league, he's rostered in less than 5% of leagues. And then Garrison Matthews isn't a bad deep league wave stream. Jesus Christ, I can't speak. He's not a bad deep league streamer if Dyson Daniels is out. So Dyson Daniels was out last game, which caused Garrison Matthews to see 30 minutes. But as you can see here, Dyson Daniels is a game time decision. So he has not been ruled out yet. He might play. And RotoWire has Dyson Daniels starting in the expected lineup. So they think Dyson Daniels will play. So if Dyson Daniels is playing, I probably would not stream Garrison Matthews. If Dyson Daniels is out, then Garrison Matthews is a solid deep streamer. Next game, and another guy that we've talked about as a deep league streamer is Yves Missy. He's rostered in 6.5% of leagues. Not bad at all. He actually saw a season high in minutes last game. So like I said, Tice was a bit injured. And I was wondering, we got to keep our eyes on Yves Missy, right? If Daniel Tice misses any time, then Yves Missy is going to see a boost in minutes, which I think Tice did play in this game. So even though Tice did play, Yves Missy did see more minutes, which is a good sign for him. Not a bad deep league streamer at all. And then the last game is going to be the Magic versus the Mavericks. And I don't have any streamers in this game. All I do have to mention is that we talked about Anthony Black and rostering him. Like I said, I'd rather have Bilal Coulibaly than this guy. I'd rather have Scottie Pippen Jr. I'd rather have Santi Aldama. I'd rather have Grady Dick. I'd rather have Anthony Black than Pajemski, though. And so if all those guys that I previously mentioned aren't on your waivers and you're looking for a guy to give you production short term for the next few weeks, Anthony Black is a great guy. This is a guy I think is a must roster right now. If all those guys are gone and this guy's on your waiver, pick him up because Paulo Banchero is going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks or more because he's going to be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. That doesn't mean he's going to come back in 4 to 6 weeks. He's going to be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. Anthony Black, he's going to see a big boost in minutes. He saw 28 minutes last game with Paulo Banchero out. That was in a blowout though. So I'm very curious to see Magic if they play a regular game, where it's wire to wire, it's competitive right till the end of the game. I want to see how many minutes Black gets because he might see 30 plus minutes, and that's going to be very, very solid value. He's getting you 8 points per game in 26 minutes with 4.5 assists and 3 boards, which isn't that, not the prettiest thing in the world, but not bad. And especially with Paulo out, he could see more usage. This is a guy to keep your eye on. Anthony Black, roster him. He's only rostered in 6% of leagues. But anyway, that's all for today. Only 3-game slate, and it's the last day of the week. So last day of your matchup if you're in a head-to-head points league. So good luck to everybody watching. If you guys have any specific questions, comment them down below because, obviously every league is different, right? So if you have a specific question for a specific player, whether you should drop him for another specific player or not, comment it down below. An example, one of the guys in the comments, Bugardi, he asked, should I start Wiggins or Coulibaly tonight? Points leagues yesterday. I told him I'll go with Bilal only because Wiggins has been hurt. Wiggins had 18 today, or yesterday, I guess. Wiggins had 18 yesterday. Bilal Coulibaly had 38. So he asked a specific question, which, if you have a specific question, just comment it down below. I'll try to see it as soon as possible. But if he did listen to my advice, he benefited there. Bilal had 20 more than Wiggins. So if you guys have any specific questions, don't feel free to comment them down below. But anyway, that's all for today. I'll probably have a buy low, sell high video coming soon. I want to say like today or tomorrow, but I don't want to force myself into that and promise you guys. But I'll probably have a buy low, sell high video for this next week, upcoming week. And then I'll probably have I don't know, probably like a streamer for the week. Instead of doing daily stream, I'm going to keep doing streamers every single day for daily videos. But I'll probably have looking into the next week, seeing if specific guys are going to be good this whole week instead of a whole day and whatnot. But I'll probably have a buy low, sell high video coming to you guys soon. So expect that. Anyway, hopefully we have another great day streaming. If you have any specific questions, like I said, comment them down below. Leave a like, leave a comment for your boy. Subscribe so you can see every single video. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Hopefully you guys win your matchup. See y'all in the next one. Peace.